Have you ever wondered why Sukuna's fingers hold such terrifying power? Or why certain people can see curses while others remain blissfully unaware? The answer lies buried in a catastrophic event so devastating that the very fabric of reality was torn apart, giving birth to what we now know as cursed energy. Picture this: thousands of years ago, humanity lived in complete harmony with the spiritual realm. There were no curses, no sorcerers, no need for jujutsu techniques. But something went horribly wrong. A single moment of unimaginable terror changed everything forever, and what I'm about to reveal will completely transform how you understand every battle, every technique, and every character in Jujutsu Kaisen. The truth starts with an ancient civilization that mastered something far more dangerous than nuclear weapons. They discovered how to manipulate the very essence of human emotion itself. Long before Tokyo became the cursed battleground we know today, an advanced society existed in what is now modern Japan. These people weren't sorcerers in the way we understand them. They were emotional alchemists, capable of harvesting, concentrating, and weaponizing human feelings on a massive scale. Fear, anger, despair, hatred — they treated these emotions like raw materials in a cosmic factory. Their capital city was built around a massive structure they called the Heart of Suffering. This wasn't just a building. It was a living, breathing organism that fed on negative emotions from across the entire continent. For generations, they used this power to maintain perfect order. Crime didn't exist because the heart could detect malicious intent before it formed into action. Disease was eliminated because negative emotions that caused illness were absorbed before they could manifest. But here's where things get terrifying. The Heart of Suffering wasn't just absorbing emotions, it was learning from them. Every fear, every moment of rage, every instance of despair that flowed into the heart created something like emotional DNA. These patterns began combining, evolving, and eventually gaining a form of consciousness. The ancient civilization had unknowingly created the first curse, but this wasn't just any curse. This was the primordial curse, the mother of all negative energy that would eventually spawn every monster Yuji Itadori and his friends would ever face. The rulers of this civilization realized their mistake too late. The Heart of Suffering had grown beyond their control, and it was hungry for more than just ambient negative emotions. It wanted to create its own food source. One fateful night, the heart released what historians now call the Great Emotional Cascade. In a single moment, it projected every stored negative emotion back into the world, amplified 1,000-fold. Imagine experiencing the combined fear, anger, and despair of millions of people all at once. Entire populations went insane instantly. The lucky ones died from the psychological shock, but the survivors, they were changed forever. The cascade didn't just drive people mad. It fundamentally altered human biology. Those who survived developed the ability to see and interact with the emotional residue left behind by the catastrophe. They became the first true sorcerers, born not from training or bloodlines, but from trauma so severe it rewrote their genetic code. This is why sorcerers often come from families with histories of tragedy. This is why the strongest techniques are born from the deepest pain. The ability to manipulate cursed energy isn't just a superpower, it is humanity's evolutionary response to the greatest disaster in our species' history. The Heart of Suffering itself was destroyed in the cascade, but its death throes created something even worse. As it collapsed, it fragmented into countless pieces, each one carrying a portion of its accumulated power and malice. These fragments scattered across the world, and over millennia, they would become the cursed objects that sorcerers hunt today. Sukuna's fingers aren't just body parts of an ancient sorcerer. They're fragments of the original Heart of Suffering, which explains why they contain such overwhelming power and why eating them drives people insane. Sukuna himself was likely one of the first humans to successfully merge with a large fragment, gaining godlike power but losing his humanity in the process. The ancient civilization that created this disaster tried desperately to contain the damage before their extinction. They developed the first jujutsu techniques not as combat arts, but as emergency containment protocols. The basic principle of using cursed energy to fight curses was their last-ditch effort to fight fire with fire. They established hidden schools and passed down this knowledge through secret bloodlines, knowing that future generations would need these tools to survive in a world permanently tainted by their mistake. The modern jujutsu world, Tokyo Jujutsu High, the great families, even the cursed technique classification system, all of it traces back to these desperate survivors trying to give humanity a fighting chance. This explains so many mysteries that have puzzled fans for years. Why do curse techniques often reflect personal trauma? Because they are tools specifically designed to channel the emotional damage that creates cursed energy in the first place. Why are special grade curses so intelligent and malicious? Because they're closer to the original heart of suffering, retaining more of its learned hatred for humanity. The binding vows and cursed restrictions that make techniques stronger work because they recreate the original emotional intensity of the Great Cascade. When a sorcerer accepts severe limitations or risks, they're essentially subjecting themselves to a controlled version of that primordial trauma, temporarily accessing the same power that transformed the first survivors. Even the concept of domains reflects this hidden history. When sorcerers create their inner worlds, they're unconsciously recreating fragments of the original civilization's emotional manipulation technology. The Heart of Suffering was essentially a massive, permanent domain expansion that covered an entire continent. The most chilling part: the disaster isn't over. Recent events in the series suggest that fragments of the Heart of Suffering are beginning to resonate with each other again. The increasing frequency of powerful curses, the rise of new special grades, and the growing instability in the Jujutsu world aren't random occurrences. They're symptoms of the original curse slowly reassembling itself. Kenjaku's plans, Sukuna's resurrection, even Gojo's incredible power, they are all pieces in a cosmic chess game that began thousands of years ago when humanity first tried to control something beyond their understanding. The ancient civilization's greatest fear is coming true. The Heart of Suffering is trying to rebuild itself, and if it succeeds, the Great Emotional Cascade will look like a gentle breeze compared to what's coming. This hidden history changes everything we thought we knew about cursed energy. It's not just a power system or a supernatural force. It's a scar on reality itself, a permanent reminder of humanity's greatest mistake, and perhaps our species' ultimate test of survival. The next time you watch Yuji struggle with Sukuna's influence or see Gojo effortlessly manipulate space itself, remember that their abilities stem from an ancient tragedy that rewrote the laws of existence. Every curse they fight is an echo of that primordial disaster, and every technique they use carries the desperate wisdom of a civilization that paid the ultimate price for their hubris. The war between sorcerers and curses isn't just about protecting innocent people, it is about preventing history from repeating itself and ensuring that humanity never again faces the horror of a world where negative emotions become living weapons of mass destruction.